Most people, they only get one shot at this decision. What age is the best age to take Social Security? Do you file at 62 and get smaller checks but for a longer period of time? Or do you push it all the way to 70 to make sure that you get the biggest check possible? Now you've probably heard, just wait till 70. That way you're sure to get the maximum amount of benefit. Now that sounds simple, but it's also wrong for a lot of people. In this video, I'm going to show you why there's no universal best age to take Social Security, walk through the real trade-offs, and then pull up my proprietary software that I use with my clients so that you can see how we calculate what the real ideal age for taking Social Security is for your specific situation. My name is Zach Poitra, and I'm a licensed fiduciary financial advisor based out of Colorado Springs. I work with people between roughly the ages of 55 and 75, people who are approaching retirement or may already be in retirement. My focus is retirement income, making sure that the paycheck you were receiving during your working life, making sure that paycheck is replaced, taxes are managed, and your money is aligned with the lifestyle that you want. I've sat across from a lot of people who are about to file for Social Security, and they're terrified that they might make a mistake. Now, you don't get many do-overs here, so it is worth slowing down and making sure that you do it right. The first thing to understand is this, is there's no blanket rule like wait until 70 to make sure you get the biggest Social Security check possible. The system is designed so that for the average person with the average lifespan, the total lifetime value is supposed to be similar whether you file early or late. But none of us are average. You have your own health history, your own savings, tax picture, and lifestyle. The real question is, what age is best for me, given everything else that's going on in my plan? Now let's quickly level set how Social Security benefits change over time and at which ages. You can generally start as early as age 62, and that usually means about a 30% reduction in how much you receive in each check versus waiting until full retirement age at 67. Now, if you wait until 67, you get 100% of your full retirement age benefits. And if you delay taking Social Security income, each year that you wait, the benefit increases about 8% until you reach age 70. So from 62 to 70, that's about an 8-year window with roughly 75% difference between the lowest and highest possible monthly check that you can receive. That's a huge difference in what your guaranteed income floor will be during retirement. But that doesn't always automatically mean wait, because we haven't talked about you and your specific situation yet. Now let's talk about the several factors that one should consider. Factor number one is longevity and health. If you're in good health and your family background has people living to 80 or 90, then in that case, waiting longer, it might make more sense. You might give up a few years of smaller payments from Social Security, but that patience will pay off with larger checks for 20 or 30 more years. On the other hand, if you are not in good health, or maybe your family has a history of a shorter life expectancy, then maybe it makes sense to take your benefits earlier. And in that sort of situation, you may actually increase the total amount of money received from Social Security because of that shorter expected lifespan. So people with the exact same earnings history and maybe the exact same kind of savings profile, they can have very different best ages to take Social Security just simply based on their health situation or their life expectancy. But that's not the only factor to consider. Next on my list are your other sources of income. Maybe you have a pension. Maybe you own some rental property, or maybe you've got an annuity that you're receiving income on. Then you might have a sizable IRA or 401k that you can draw upon for income, or perhaps you're living on dividend income. The point being is if you already have other income coming in to support your lifestyle, sometimes it makes sense to let your Social Security benefit grow and use your pension or your portfolio income to bridge the gap in the meantime. But the opposite can be true as well. Sometimes it makes sense to take Social Security income earlier so that you don't touch your investments. And that allows those investments to grow over time, and then you get a greater benefit later from those same investments. And then if you're married, this decision affects your spouse as well. You need to pay attention as to when the higher earner takes their Social Security benefit, because when they claim, that has a direct impact as to the spouse's benefit. And this is where rules of thumb, they fall apart. You can't just look at Social Security in a vacuum. Now let's talk about the classic question of what if I take my Social Security early and I take that money and I invest it in the market or real estate or something like that. On paper, that can sound very appealing, but here's the tension. Delaying past that full retirement age every year increases the benefit about 8%. So to beat that 8%, you need to have really solid performance from your investments and have to take into account taxes. And there may be a bad market that comes along and blows up your plan. For some very disciplined investors with significant assets and a strong stomach for the market going up and down, that might actually pencil out. But for many retirees who just simply want to sleep at night, it really isn't the best option. Again, I'm not saying one option is better than the other. What I'm saying is that you need to do the math to make sure that in your specific situation, you are not guessing. So at this point, you probably are seeing the problem. You've got a lot of factors: claiming age, health and longevity, other income streams, investment returns and risk, taxes and required minimum distributions, and spousal or survivor benefits, all interacting over 20 to 30 years. Trying to solve all of these factors in your head or even with a one-page calculator or spreadsheet, it's almost impossible. And that's why with clients, I use our proprietary planning software. And let's jump right into that so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here we are in our software. And I'm starting out with what's called the Life Hub. And this gives us a 360-degree view of this totally fictional couple. Their names are John and Mary. John is 65, Mary is 62. And the reason I'm starting here is to show you that we have already input all of their information. We have their assets, we have their current income, their liabilities, their expenses, everything that has to do with them from a financial standpoint. I want to point out as I click on income, we can see here that Social Security has not been started for either of them as of yet. With that being said, let's move away from the Life Hub and go to the Social Security Optimizer. Here we have John with his primary insurance amount being $3,000 a month, and Mary with her primary insurance amount of $2,000 a month. Primary insurance is what they will receive at full retirement age. Now, here is the heat map. What's interesting, though, is that the default setting is that John will live to 98 and Mary will live to 95. And if you remember, they had quite a bit of assets already saved up. And so given their long lifespan and their large amount of assets, it makes sense that the software is suggesting that they wait until age 70. Now let's change this though. Let's assume that John's got some health issues. He's currently 65, and let's change this to 75. And let's say that Mary also has some health issues, but not as serious as John. Let's say she's going to live till 85. And we apply those changes. And lo and behold, it's telling us that Mary should start her income at 62 from Social Security, but John should wait until 70. Now that might seem a little counterintuitive, so we can take a closer look at their scenario and look at scenario details as to why John's still taking his income at 70. And this shows us the details. You'll notice that over here, Mary's going to start her Social Security income at 62. She's the blue, and then the green is when John takes his benefits at 70, and then he's going to pass away at 75. And what's really interesting is the survivor benefit. This purple is what Mary gets for her survivor benefit, and that is the reason why John is suggested to wait until 70, because if he had taken income earlier in the process, that survivor benefit would be a lot smaller. And again, the software knows that they have a lot of assets already, so they don't really need the Social Security income. This is a really good example of how counterintuitive maximizing and optimizing Social Security benefits can be. And so this is the kind of thing that we can do in our Social Security Optimizer software to really dial in the best time for each person in a family to take their Social Security income. Now we can go much more in depth with this analysis, but I just wanted to show you an overview of what we can do for people like you. Now, if you're watching this and thinking to yourself, wow, I would really love to see my own Social Security heat map and also see an income plan for retirement, here's what I'm doing. Each week I set aside a few time slots so that people can come in and go through this exercise of analyzing when is the best time to take Social Security and how will that impact my overall income plan during retirement. And here's what that looks like. We hop on a Zoom call or we meet in person at my office. We plug in your real numbers into the software, Social Security, your investment accounts, and also your retirement income needs. Then we test different scenarios using that software, and you get to see directly on screen what impact different decisions will make for you. You will leave that meeting with a clear understanding of when it's likely the best time for you to take Social Security and how that fits into your broader retirement plan. Now, there's no cost for this initial meeting, and there's no obligation to work with me after. And if you do feel like you'd like to work together on implementation, we can talk about possible next steps. If not, you can still walk away with clarity. If that would be helpful for you, look for a link below this video, and that link will take you directly to my calendar, and you can book a time for us to get together. Either way, don't guess on this decision. You've worked too hard, too long to just wing it on one of the biggest decisions of your retirement. Now this video is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice, this is not tax advice, nor legal advice. Please, before you make any financial decisions, talk to a licensed professional such as myself.